I got the hummer in the back end.
That's a separate podcast, sir.
Hey, we're live. Will Blackman joining the Field to the Deal podcast. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. All is good. Just tons of excitement. Right now, currently the senior defensive analyst at Boston College, and so that's been cool, man. That's a good time. We got a bowl game coming up. We got Nebraska in the Pinstripe Bowl, so that'd be dope.
Hey, I was told the N. Do you know what the N on Nebraska stands for on their helmet?
It does not. What? Go ahead.
It stands for knowledge.
They're very knowledgeable in losing a quarterback in the portal. You know that.
Hey,
Yes.
That's completely wrong. My father played there. He's an All-American there.
Yeah, my uncle's is Ronnie Brown. So
Yeah,
all my in-laws.
Ronnie Brown
from Nebraska.
the running back.
No, Ronnie. He's a receiver coach, I believe.
Oh. Yeah.
We know where Ronnie went. He didn't go to Nebraska. Come on.
What's wrong with him? Come on.
Hey, we have Will Blackman with a Super Bowl champ and from 2012. We have a special. We're going to start the show a little bit differently if you've been watching, but we don't brag about when we're right much about stuff, but I'm going to brag on Peter for being right. This is at least 2 weeks ago, and I think he even said it before. Garrett Bowles is on his way out, probably to save some money in our O-line room and going younger in there.
Look at you with your little ESPN skills. Bring
You're
it
not
back
saving
to
money.
class.
What you're doing is redistributing. You're sitting there saying, is this guy, because he's going to want $20 million a year, and you want him on your roster. The question is how much, and is he a kind of guy at $20 million a year, or can you sit there and take one in the first round and all of a sudden have the money like you guys want to do and spend it on a tight end in free agency?
He called it. 20.5 to 20. I'll give you a little margin there, Peter, but called it to about the dollar. Good job.
That's what we do. As I like to say, I'm just not a pretty face.
Okay.
That's for sure.
He still ain't worth $20 million a year, but we'll talk about it.
But for calling it that close, Peter, I think we all agree that you deserve Employee of the Month here at Field to the Deal. So good job. Congratulations.
You're doubling my salary?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Employee of the Month, Peter Schaefer. So, Will, you're a defensive guy. The question I wanted to start off the show with you today is the Broncos suffered in their secondary last week against the Browns. Obviously, they're going against Anthony Richardson, different quarterback, but are we worried about the secondary without Moss in the backfield with them?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a concern, especially when you can just go away from Surtain. Of course he helps just taking care of one side of the field, but usually teams have enough ammo on the other side. Like now your third receiver gets paid almost like a number one, in some cases. So if they're able to find the mismatch, then that's gonna be huge. So they're gonna have to step up on the other side. But I think that is the biggest deal, especially watching that Browns game. It was glaring.
Yeah, CJ, what would you do as the OC of the Colts here going up against the Browns, going against the Broncos, knowing that half our secondary is kind of a hole?
Well, the Colts got to do what they do best, right? Anthony Richardson is not the world beater who's going to light you up with his arm. So quarterback runs and things that they designed to do, that's what they're going to do. But I do think they're going in situational football, third downs, red zone, they're going to find ways to attack the secondary using Anthony Richardson, right? AR5 using his strengths. So I think that's how the Colts is walking into it. I don't think they're just going to sit there and say, hey, we're going to let Anthony Richardson drop back 35 times, throw the ball for 400 or 500 yards. It's just not his game, if that makes sense.
So, Will, how do you defend against a quarterback like Richardson?
You definitely you want to make him read the coverage. You definitely want to sit back and try to give him different looks. You want to bring tons of exotic blitzes. And really try to make him play quarterback, and when you rush him, you rush to the level of the quarterback. You don't want to rush by him. You don't want to give him certain lanes where he can use his legs and take advantage of that. So you really want to try your best to make him play quarterback. I remember in Washington, playing against Cam Newton, we were like, okay, if we play man, he's going to find the mismatches. If we play zone, let's see if he can do his best to really play quarterback. And this was 2015, so this was prime Cam Newton, and he actually ended up, picking us apart, which I didn't think was going to happen. Now, granted, we didn't have the greatest D line to really go after him, but we put him in a position where he had to play quarterback.
So Will, let me ask you this. So just some context, so that people really know what Scott McCloughan's all about. He was the general manager in Washington when he brought you in, right?
Correct.
Well, what was the perception of Scott in Washington among the team?
This is good.
Perception among the team. Perception among the team.
On Scott, yeah.
Oh, that he actually like gave a damn. Like that was the thing that we noticed, is that especially if you look at our roster, it wasn't pretty in terms of like a bunch of big names, but it was a bunch of guys that played a lot of football. It was impressive, the fact that despite all the drama and nonsense that went on over there in Ashburn at the Redskins, we still won the division. we still won a division, which was unreal. And it's because we had a bunch of football players, and that was the thing that was key. Is like, we had a lot of outcasts, but these guys were able to. They've been through adversity. They knew how to play, within the lines, despite whatever was going on. They were able to leave their baggage at the door and still play good football. So that was the impressive thing, is that, he went out there and he believed in second and third chances. And it's like, no, like, sometimes, yeah, it backfired because, you're like, hey, I'm going to take a chance on this guy. I think he can do something based on what he's done. But in our case, it paid off because we got into the postseason and won a division.
And people don't give him enough credit. And I wish he wasn't listening to this as we compliment him. But, Kirk Cousins is not Kirk Cousins unless Scott makes the call to.
Scotty's there, right?
Whoa.
Listen, I still be playing, for crying out loud.
If Scotty was still there, right? Yeah.
I still be playing.
Yes, you would, buddy. Yes, you would.
I'm telling you, man, it's because you just understood. I mean, for example, a great example is Mercedes Lewis is still playing because he understands culture. He gets it. He provides, both just the veteran leadership and the experience on and off the field. And even when I went to Washington, I was in a position where, sure, I wasn't like the pot name brand, but despite what was going on, I was able to keep everything chill and cool, especially in the secondary. We had most of the hotheads in the secondary, but was able to still keep everybody together and stay cool, and at the same time too, like help mentor guys like, Quentin Dunbar, who were young, help mentor guys like Kendall Fuller, who came in, just giving them my experience of what I've been through, because I was a young rookie and I got to be with Charles Woodson and Al Harris, and they did the same thing for me. So, it was pretty much my duty in that position to do the same to them.
All right, so here's an interesting statistical fact that my son Gavin pointed out. That the Broncos are minus 17 in the point differential in the first quarter. After that, they're plus 33, plus 14, plus 25. So they've really started almost every game with a foot in the hole, or however you want to say it.
Sounds like my junior high basketball team.
So, A, what causes that? B, what do you do to change that? And C, I mean, it's probably pretty impressive that they've won so many games with that type of, starting from, like a handicap or giving away the point spread.
Yeah, I would say, number one, the positive thing is that they're finishing games strong. Usually when you come out with certain teams, CJ, as they have their first 15, right? You try to bring in some complex, different looks to see like what may work, what doesn't work. But then eventually by second quarter, Courtney is going to get back to what he does. And you get back to like, okay, this is what we've been game planning for, because you'll be able to, so maybe the early stuff can get you and we'll catch them by surprise. But the key is they're able to bounce back. So I think just the first quarter, that's what it is. You might get different looks. This team is still, fairly young and new with Sean Payton. But the key is they're finishing games strong. So I think that's the most important thing.
I think from the offensive perspective, I don't know if Sean's a big first 15 guy. It's a West Coast thing. Sean offense is kind of a hybrid.
Right.
So he might be a situational guy. That's how Billy Musk was, like first play of the game, first third down, first red zone call, first high red. But I also think it's the lack of identity of what the Broncos is. Like what
right.
like still trying to figure that out. Usually, right, like my times with Kubiak, right, our first 15 or the times I played with Peyton, right, we knew we were going to come out throwing the ball, getting paid in the rhythm, and then let the game flow. Or with Kubiak, we're going to come out, run the ball, then we're going to get Brock or Trevor, right, in the mix. I don't know if the Broncos still have, like, they're still probably trying to find what the identity looks like. Obviously,
Right.
they're rotating running backs, right? They still got the rookie quarterback. They don't want to put too much on Bo, even though he's playing better. So I think that's why you get the slow start. But then once they get in the rhythm of what's working that at that game and at that time, that's why you're seeing them finish strong.
Yeah, and that was my point, saying like defensively, they're getting the first 15 from a lot of teams, I believe. Offensively, like everyone's still new and still trying to figure out like how can we, what's the best for us to start games. So I completely agree.
Well, as you're looking at Bo Nix as a rookie quarterback and developing, we're excited in Bronco country of where he's going or where he can be, but we see what happened to CJ Stroud this year with the sophomore slump. Like, are we just keep our excitement? Like, what should we keep our expectations to Bo Nix as?
One game at a time, Rob. One game at a
No,
time.
I'm a fan, not a player. I'm a fan.
You're already moving into season
I'm
2.
a fan.
I know, man.
I'm asking if I should trade for him on my fantasy team. On my dynasty.
season
No,
is
I
still-
tell you, Rob, Will's played with a lot of legendary quarterbacks.
Facts.
I mean, run some.
Yeah.
You were in Green
my
Bay with,
first. I'll tell you right now, my first quarterback was Favre, and then went to Rodgers, and then won a Super Bowl with Eli.
Yeah, right.
I spent a couple off seasons with Russ in Seattle. So I got to see it. I got to see what it looked like. Damn it! Like it was pretty impressive. But I would say here's the thing to me with Bo Nix in general is I feel like evaluating a quarterback, I got to play with guys like that. Like I always start with, of course they can throw, but I start with the mind. Like, how is he between the ears? How is he in situations? How is he around the team? How is he, when stuff gets challenging, and or how is his energy when he's getting whatever pushback from the coach? And the one thing that I noticed about Bo, obviously he looked the part physically, but mentally, like he is certified. Like he is into it. He's super competitive. Even that little situation they had earlier in the sideline where Sean yelled at him, he cussed him right back out. And I was like, that's good, because Sean could be a bully, man. And so the fact that he came back at him and disagreed, like I love that. Like I was with Matt Ryan at Boston College, and I remember it was spring game, and I think I picked him off like 2 or 3 times in the spring game. And he goes back to the sideline. Coach Tom O'Brien and Dana Bible are ready to go off on him. And they were alphas as coaches. And Matt goes up to both of them. He goes, I don't want to hear an effing thing from neither one of you MFers. And we all were like, oh my God. But then O'Brien and Coach Bible looked at each other and they go, yeah, we got one. we got one. They say, yeah, we got one. And obviously he ended up being a dog and a hell of a player. So I think right now, man, he's on the right path because of who he is as a person and who he has as a head coach. Like this is nothing new for Sean. Like I think Sean is going to definitely steer him in a way where you look in Houston, D'Amico and Bobby Slowick, like this is their second go around. So they're still trying to figure it out themselves.
So Scott, when you're scouting quarterbacks this year's class, how do you figure out if he's a dog?
You pay attention mainly, without me going into schools and meeting the kids and talking to the coaches personally face to face. It's what they do on third downs, what they do in fourth quarters, what they do when the game's on the line. Because that's, it's easy when you're up 30 and you're still throwing the ball around the park, and making plays left and right. But who are the guys when it comes down to nut cutting time? Who's going to stand up and make the play? Is it going to be the quarterback? Is he going to panic? Is he going to throw it out of bounds? Is he going to get out of the pocket too early because he knows it's a big play? Or is he going to stay in there and start down the rifle and take the pressure and still make the play?
All right. So with the 2 players what do you guys think about last night with the Niners? What would you have done if one of your teammates checked out?
Oh,
I just let him go.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's not even worth any. And you already put so much energy into the game itself in life. Like, hey, look, man, if that's his thing, then so be it. It reminds me of, especially in youth football. My coach would always say, we're going to separate the men from the boys. We want to find out who wants to be here, who doesn't want to be here, and those who want to go, like, by all means, like you make it easy for us. Just go ahead, bro.
But if it's in the middle of the game, CJ, you're not like, dude, what's up, dude? Or
nah, I mean, you too focused on what's going on. But like at some point in your career, you know what your career is going to be like. So like for me, right? Like I won a Super Bowl, I was a Pro Bowler, but I always had to prove myself.
Right.
So it didn't matter if it was like Kerryon Johnson in front of me or like when I, even though I was the clear man in Denver, Monte Ball came back, kind of like the Dre Greenlaw thing, right? They're paying them, they're investing. Now, obviously, Monte won the All-Pro player like Dre, but like you just got to continue to keep proving yourself. You can't be mad that you've been playing all year and you've been playing good, and the man's coming back, and right. And usually, I say the coaches that I've had always kept it honest with me, like, hey, you're going to share carries this week, or you're going to do this week because we're bringing this guy back. But then you go out there and prove yourself that you're better. So it's unfortunate that the Niners had to go through that. It speaks a lot on the season, of what they're going through. But as far like Will said, as far as you want to go quit, then quit, bro. That's cool. Like,
well, I could tell you this. I have these conversations. I mean, this is not something that just happened during a game on Thursday night.
No
Obviously,
question. I'm sure it's a build up. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree.
And so he must have been talking to his agent, and I would sit there. No, there's 4 weeks left. We need to hit free agency again. You can't brain fart. You better just deal with it. But is this a career killer? Did he just end his career, Scott Campbell?
In my opinion, no, he didn't end his career, but he definitely affected it in a negative manner. Half the teams will have interest in him right now are going to be off it. You can't do that. You know, first of all, it's a privilege to be on a roster in the NFL. There's millions of kids out there that give everything just to be on a roster, or players, I should say. And for him to be upset because an All-Pro who's healthy came back and was doing well, you know, his first game back doing real well. And for him to be upset because once he gets hurt again, and he's asked to go in the game, and he says, no, I just tell him keep walking. Don't even stop at the locker room. Just keep your uniform on, go back to your place, pack your stuff, and get the hell out because you're not coming back here again. He can't, in my opinion, he will not be accepted back in that locker room. He will not.
Yeah, I had two situations actually in Washington. I remember when we had Chris Culliver, and he ended up getting injured, and I end up going and starting. And I remember we played. I think the Giants was 1 week where I had a good week, and then also we played the Patriots in New England, and I had a good game against them despite losing. And so I remember getting called into the office, and Perry Fuel was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, like you had a hell of a game. You finished. I was actually number 2 in PFF, number 2 rated cornerback." He said, "And you've been great, but we're gonna go back to Culliver." And I go, all right.
What?
He goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And I just got up. I just walked out of his office. I ended up going to Aubrey Pleasant's office, and I was, furious and annoyed. I'm saying, pissed off, really. Because I thought, like, okay, because I was still trying to, like, this is my comeback, really trying to prove myself again. Like you said, CJ, every year for 12 years, bro, every training camp I went in, they brought in a ton of DBs. I'm like, here we go again. And I was furious at that point. And I'm like, all right, eventually they're going to need me again. But I always, especially when I tell these young guys who, especially nowadays, like they're more sensitive than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, don't mess up your money. Like, don't mess up your money. Like, I don't care how mad you are. At the end of the day, it's going to be their word against yours. So you can be mad. You can cause a scene. You can leave. You can go on social media. They don't care, bro. So, like,
but Will, you're talking about money, right? So here's the deal: is had he just been a malcontent, then they would cut him. But I think that he did enough that they can suspend him for conduct detrimental, and that does a few things. So he has a 1-year deal for $5 million, of which he's got per game roster bonuses, right, of $20,000 a week. So they put him on conduct detrimental, suspend him for 4 weeks. They get that money back. They get the base salary back, and he got a $3.35 million signing bonus. They could probably come back after that, or at least a portion of it, and they don't have to release him, so he can't go to someone else and play in the playoffs and make it look like he won. So, I mean, I think the Niners, they're not going to release him. I think they're going to put him on the porch for a while, and that's a tough deal. But I think he did enough to warrant conduct detrimental, because he clearly walked off.
Yeah, you can't. Like, and I've been in a situation even before that when I was in Jacksonville. When I was in Jacksonville in 2013, we had the craziest rotation in the secondary, and Alan Ball and myself were clearly the two that should have been starting the whole year. But I get it; it's a new GM, new head coach, so like everyone's auditioning, the whole season to see who they want the next year. So we're playing the Tennessee Titans, and I remember like I'm not getting really any burn. And I'm fuming on the sideline, like absolutely fuming. It's a tight game. And then eventually, towards the end of the game, we're in a 2-minute situation, and Gus Bradley was like, all right, he's like, F that. Yo, he said, put all our aces in, put all the main guys in.
Yeah.
He said, put all the veterans in, let's go get it. And I could have, in that situation, like something inside was like, oh, now y'all want to put me in. So I'm like, so I went in. I'm like, here we go. Like, let's do it. And that's when I end up having the strip sack for a touchdown that put us ahead by 7. But I always, in that situation, I could have easily made a choice like, man, I'm not going to go in. But that would have just hurt me more, especially if I'm not like, a high paid, starter or whatever on that team like that. So I've been telling these young guys, I've been there, man. I've seen it all.
I've done it all. Same here, man. In my 8. I mean, I also think emotions is high last night. Like, I got a lot of respect for Kyle and John. I think they're going to sit back and have a conversation. Because like what you said, Pete, like this has been lingering for so long, right?
It's a weird season for them.
Kyle is an interpersonal guy. Like, bro, what's going on? Because it's also out of your character too, right? It's just out of your character to just be walking out, quitting on your teammates. So I do think they're going to handle it methodically, different than like the Patriot way. Like, Bill cuts you right away. See you. You got to go. Right. I think they'll handle it a different way. And obviously we'll hear about it soon. But it's definitely unfortunate that they had to go through that last night. And obviously you heard what some of the teammates said, right? That's tough too, right? That they're looking at that. Because it's a close game. It ain't like it's an ass whooping. Like, it's a close game. Excuse my language. It's a close game. Like, it's 12-6, right? Who knows, right? We always say in our locker rooms, right? It doesn't matter who makes the play. Like, the football don't care who makes the play. Like, so you might have the opportunity to make the play to change the game, just like Will did in Jacksonville. You might have that opportunity, but you're not gonna have that opportunity if you're not on the field, right? You're afraid. You're Gretzky. You're good old Wayne Gretzky, right? You miss 100% shots you don't take. So,
but CJ, I also believe this, that the players, like whether it's Kittle or whoever, spoke up so early afterwards that if it was one of their star players or one of their glue guys, they wouldn't have come out so blatant and so brash. And
he wasn't a core. He's not a core guy. He was a 1-year rental.
They came down on him, so that means okay.
Yeah, he's a 1-year rental. They know. Like, you're just here for the year. Like, you was only here because Drake was hurt or whatever. He was a 1-year rental, but you're fighting. You're still fighting for playoffs at that time.
Right, because if it was Boza, hey, look, the Debo dropped that big pass. Nobody said anything about. Oh well, he'll get him next time.
Right.
And what's the difference, Will and CJ, especially when you're difference between being upset and like advocating for yourself to your coaches to want to get more playing time? Like, obviously, you can be upset when they're not going to start you. But you go like, what's the difference? Like, where's the line? Like, how do you guys know? Hey, I'm advocating for myself, and then that somewhere in there that turns into being a jerk. Like, how do you guys know where that line is?
I mean, I would say like at the end of the day, for me, like, am I making decisions that's going to truly affect the team? I was such a team guy, and that's why I was able to play so long. Is like, when I wasn't as dynamic, I got brought in because I understood the purpose of team. Now, if I had a situation where it was about me, I'm all about handling stuff, in the office, closed doors, one-on-one. And I express myself a lot to every team, when I was in Jacksonville and I heard, hey, they might go get a corner in the first round. I told him, I was like, hey, if that's what you're going to do, like, let me know now so I can go somewhere else. Or if I had an issue with playing time, I went and talked about it and handled it like adults. But at the same time, I don't want to draw too much attention where it's going to affect the team, because that still matters. So that's my thought.
So Kyle Shanahan just had a press conference timely, and he just said that he does not expect that Devondre Campbell will ever play for the Niners again this year.
Yeah, so there's that, right? As being a 1-year rental. But to answer your question, Rob, I'm kind of saying like Will. I was all about the team. Anything I had to handle closed doors, I even handle it. Or I called this man that you see on the screen with us and let him handle it. Right? Pete used to say, "Let me fight your battles. You just continue to keep working." I've helped young guys, kind of like probably as Will has. Right? Any running back Broncos want to bring in, I helped them. Right? My time in Carolina before I went to the Rams, I helped Christian McCaffrey. Right? I helped Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was younger than me at the time when I was with the Rams. Even though we're both playing at the same time, I gave him the same game that it was brought down to me from Noshawn Marino and some of the veterans that when I came in, Willis McGahee, who was helping me out, right? I've helped Kerryon Johnson when my last year in Detroit. So it's all about the team. You understand, and when you get older, Will can tell you too, you just understand the business. So you understand your role on that team as well, right? Yeah, Scott brought me in and Scott wanted to see me play, but Scott know that I'm not playing unless his guy who they drafted or invest in or whatever, however they see the business, right, goes down and get hurt. That's why I was bought in. So especially later in my career. So it's all about the team because I was the cerebral football player who knew everything, who can help everybody, and so we can win games. Because that's all I cared about was winning. I mean, obviously when I played in 3 Super Bowls, you get a taste of that Super Bowl, you want to play them more.
Right.
So all about the team from that, and then anything like Will said, anything behind closed doors, and I'm gonna come talk to you like a man and tell you what's up.
But you made a good point though. You talked about the business, and it's such a small circle, man. You're gonna run into somebody somewhere eventually. So it's like you better be a sure all pro Hall of Famer if you about to burn a bridge, because
right.
if you're a guy that's a starter, but like you don't have enough juice, like. Even guys like that, they can't get indoors. Like I'm friends with T.O. and there's a lot of doors that got shut on him just because of his relationships. And that's the main thing. Like I'm fortunate where like when I got released from teams, sure, I disagree wholeheartedly, but I know like they made a business decision, which I didn't, but it wasn't like a personal attack. Like we don't want Will on the team because he's a trash person. We just think somebody else is better. Even though it affected me personally, financially, I still had the whereabouts to be like, all right, man, they made a decision. It's business. Because, if you don't mess with the business, right now, this is business for him. He lost dollars,
he
man.
lost, and like the 2018, obviously I played in Super Bowl 53. We lose. But I got cut 3 times that year, and everybody kept acting like when I exploded for the Rams, everybody was like, whoa, like, how are you this good? And these teams are cutting you. And I told people, I never got cut because of my ability. I got cut because of business reasons, right? I got cut from Denver because I was too much money. They didn't want to pay me that much, right? Carolina, I wasn't playing. We asked to get up out of there because I wasn't playing, and Chris McCaffrey emerged. And then John Gruden brought me in, and then John Gruden said, man, we had 2 linemen hurt. We got to get rid of you to bring a lineman in. So it was all business. So when I got to the Rams and I was doing my thing, I told everybody, like, I never got cut because of my ability.
But how'd you handle it in Carolina? You were like, I'm not playing. So how did you handle that to get out of there?
Oh, I just told Pete. First I tried to get traded, right? So first I tried to get traded, and we had some trades on the table, but then Pete was like, they hit you with the game. So I played against Cincinnati, and I scored a touchdown. I actually played really well. I got 20 carries, like 90-some yards. I scored a touchdown. Everything's good, and then this back sitting in. So I'm like, because it was one thing about it was one thing. It wasn't the fact that I need to play over Christian McCaffrey. It was the fact that I was a better pass protector, right? So on third down where we're getting blitzes, right? Like I can protect Cam Newton, right? Let's just put me in on third down for that. Unless you want to use Christian out of the backfield, but they wasn't doing that. They were trying to make Christian protect. And to be honest, it was Bostic who hit Cam. Like Cam's shoulder messed up. It was the Pittsburgh game where Bostic smashed Cam Newton because he jumped over Chris McCaffrey. Chris McCaffrey tried to cut him. I'd have hit Bostic right in his mouth. That's just how I got down. But it was just certain situations where I was like, bro, you can put me in these situations, whether they're obvious or not. I'm going to be successful in those situations because my skill set in those situations is better than CMC. They wasn't feeling that. I wasn't feeling them. It's another thing I don't want to really talk about, right? Ron and Marty and guys, but it's some other things football-wise. When you come from a championship organization, and it's crazy because we played them in the Super Bowl 2 years prior. But when you come from a championship organization and how things are run, and then when you're there and you're like, wait, y'all not talking about this situation? Or y'all not practicing this? Or y'all not? No wonder why we losing. Like, nah, I couldn't do it. So I asked Pete. We got out of there, and I'm glad it worked out for us. We ended up winning at the end of it.
It is interesting, Scott. Like Odell Beckham got released today too.
Yeah.
It was mutual, I heard, right?
Yeah, probably for the same. Yeah, same with me. Probably for the same reasons, right? Not playing, not getting the ball.
I don't know if it was mutual. I mean, everybody puts a pretty face on it because you have to understand this: when people get released, veterans get released, there's termination pay. All right.
It's
So
true.
the only way you get out of termination pay is someone claims the player.
Don't claim you.
So therefore, oh, he's a great guy. Why? Because they want to get off. They want someone else to pay the salary. So that's what makes it mutual, Will. All right.
Yeah.
Just like when I remember when Kyle's dad Mike got fired here, and he had 3 years left on his contract, like some big number, $8 million a year, and all of a sudden the Broncos realize they're going to have to pay him $24 million. So they have the press conference, like, oh my God, he's the greatest coach in our franchise history. It was the hardest thing we ever made. Well, if he's so great, why'd you fire him? Well, because they wanted someone else to hire him, and he went to Washington, so they can get out from underneath the $24 million. So that is the incentive for saying nice things.
The strong incentive there. Strong
Yes.
incentive. Speaking of things not going people's way, the Red Cross has served over 8 million meals this year and helped with over 650,000 overnight shelters for emergency hotel stays. If you're in a place where you can help or support the Red Cross this season, help them out. Go to redcross.org /gift. Help them out if you got a few extra dollars. It's that time of the year to help out the Red Cross for those helping in need. I want to bring it back to the Broncos and going up against a running quarterback. We haven't been all that successful this season against running quarterbacks. We took an L from the Ravens. We took an L from the Steelers when they had Fields playing for them. Can the Broncos contain Anthony Richardson? I know, Will, you talked about, I think CJ used the term mush rush earlier in the earlier episode. It's like, how do you stop Anthony Richardson as the Broncos this year with this game? Like, he's improving every game. His stats aren't great, but he's trending up. How do you make sure this isn't the highlight film game for him?
Well, I would say the good thing that happened to him was he did sit down for a bit. And when Joe Flacco went in there, and I was really impressed on how he handled it. He was extremely positive. He really took it as a chance to learn and grow. There was even that footage of him in the tunnel during halftime, really embracing all the guys. And I think he's a willing learner. He understands okay, he didn't play much college football, but he's getting a first class experience right now. So I think, just you got to try your best to, again, just not make it a game where he's continuing to improve. And I think you really challenge him just by giving him multiple looks, something as simple as, hey, let's mug the A gaps. Let's give him a 2 high because, 2 high shell, he's going to go here, check down run, 1 high, he's going to go, to the boundary and take a shot. Those are the simple basic reads. So kind of put yourself in a similar situation. I'm sure Bo is a lot more advanced just based on his experience and how he is as a quarterback. But put yourself in a situation hey, I'm sure they did a due diligence on him. So whatever, take those notes and use those and really, again, make him truly play quarterback. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to go and chase him around and make him super dynamic.
Yeah, and I think also it's kind of like the Justin Fields earlier in the year, except for obviously the Pittsburgh defense on the other side obviously helped them win that game as well. But Lamar Jackson is dynamic, different. He can he's grown in his career as a passer, along with the dynamic run. I think Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson are all, I ain't gonna say similar, but similar styles. All right, still make them play quarterback, still make them read certain things. Drijustin Fields struggled. It ain't like he light the Broncos up, right? They kept him in the pocket. They make sure he didn't advance. Keep the drives going with his feet. I think it's those things. I'm not saying you take that game plan because obviously the offense is different. What Shane is doing, a lot more, quarterback design runs. What Shane is doing down there in Indy, but 100%. When you see how AR is and how Justin is, you kind of make them play the same. And obviously, Indy's defense is not as strong as Pittsburgh, so. If you play it similar to that, you got a chance. But if you let them just, like Will said, if you let them just run all over the place, or if you can't stop the design quarterback runs, or if you let him extend drives on third down with his legs, then that's when the Broncos will be in trouble.
Yeah, keep him out the red zone. You'll be all right.
That too. Keep him out the red zone. For sure.
Scott, how hard is it when you're scouting a running quarterback in college who clearly is a tremendous athlete, clearly has arm strength, arm talent, project him into the NFL?
It's tough. First of all, any quarterback's tough. It doesn't matter if it's a top-notch guy or a 7th-round free agent type guy. It's a positive from the standpoint of mobility, scramble ability, keeping plays alive. But the key thing is, even Will touched on it. Was he a winner in high school? Was he a winner in college? How many starts does he have? How long has he been in position? Bo, with his college career, which I totally respect from the standpoint, I think he is where he is now from the standpoint of mentality with Sean, is the fact that he understands the position. I think with Richardson, he's still trying to figure it out. And his survival thing is when the play breaks down, run. Which is great. But again, you saw like last year, it's going to happen again. Probably he's going to get hurt. These boys on the defensive side get paid to make contact. And the more you run, the more opportunities you put yourself in harm's way. But that's his go-to. I think the most important thing is accuracy. And when it's all said and done, you can't teach accuracy. Quarterbacks have it, they don't have it. The arm strength, we've seen a lot of guys, flare out in the NFL because they have great arms. They can throw it 70, 80 yards, but they don't pan out because the standpoint, first of all, they don't understand the position. Second of all, their accuracy is down. And then you see guys with with Purdy, he has no arm strength. He had no arm strength in college. I mean, I could show you from his freshman year to his senior year, he played a lot of football, but he had the intelligence, he had the understanding and the instincts to play the position. So now it comes down to timing, but also comes down to accuracy. You got to put the ball on him. You got the good ones will not have to throw them open. Where a lot of these guys look to wait till they're open to throw it to them. The young guys, and that's what Richardson does. But you got to be disciplined in your rush lanes. You got to keep him in the pocket. If you do that, and you got to get ahead and make him try to throw the ball to get back into the game, and you got him.
Scott, you said something is interesting, and it might have been Will who told me this or something. But when you're playing against whether it's a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Patrick Mahomes, like when those guys are in the rhythm and they're in the game and they throw the ball, you're like, well, I assume it's going to be completed because why else would he have thrown the ball?
Correct.
Right? But when you play against a guy like Richardson, like, he might throw some up for me. But you play against one of those other guys, like, well, they're not throwing unless he's open and it's going to be completed.
Well,
can we deal with the elephant in the room? Let's go. Bill Belichick, Tar Heel.
I love it.
Why is that the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is.
How don't you love it? How don't you love it?
College football is different, man. I'm in it right now. It's different. It is
completely different.
Can you see, Will? CJ's about to go back to college football.
I just thought
You're
it was
in
the
college
elephant.
football.
I thought it was the elephant in the room because it took a head coaching job away from CJ. That's what I thought.
They can have it. If I lose the bill, I'm fine. Like if you lose to certain people, it's okay.
They're calling
We'll also see a bunch of people who do not know football in positions they shouldn't be in. But that's how another
get me started.
Hey, you got to figure, Peter. They hired Lombardi as a general manager.
Come on, man. You don't see what's going down there?
The old school.
It's who got the most money, man. It's who got the most money.
Hey, Bill's 72 years old, still making 10 M's. I don't think he needs 10, but you know what I'm saying? Like, how can he say no?
Well, you got the 24-year-old girlfriend you got to take care of. Now. You got to spend some money on that.
I'm not touching that.
They're calling him Tar Bill. It's Tar Bill now.
But I think it's good. Like Will said, I've been in it, right? Obviously, I got out so I can get back to school and finish up. But, the 2 years I was in it when I was coaching at Rice, and then in the year, I coached 4 years, 2 years at Cal, 2 years at Rice. The game of college football, the recruiting and the NIL, everything is changing, and it's becoming super transactional, almost like the NFL. And having a guy who can not only give you the techniques and the tools to play at the next level, but also who can, like, all of a sudden, Tar Heels went from $4 million to $20 million in the NIL evaluation, like all of a sudden because Bill got there, right? So I think it fits. I ain't gonna say I think it fits, but I think it's right up his alley the way college football is going, and it'd be interesting to see what he does. He's a hell of a coach. We know coaching wise, football wise is not the problem. It's everything on the outside and see what that looks like.
Will kids go there because of him?
Well, what's hard is just saying like, "Hey, I can help you get to the NFL" is not enough.
Yep.
It's not enough. You can we can use that at BC. We got Bill O'Brien, we got Tim Lewis, we got myself, we have Chizitsky, Marone. Like we can get you to the league, but you got other guys that now shoot the guys are getting 6 figures at Group of 5 schools. Like they can stay home and play at a lower level and make 500 grand. Like it's crazy. So it's just a matter of these kids are now more, which I get rightfully so, because not everyone's going to make it to the league. They're really on building their brand in college. Hey man, if I can play 7 years in college, then guys are going to stay 7 years in college.
Yeah. I can get paid.
Yeah, you got to recruit a kid twice. Like a kid he commits to your school, great, and it commits to your school, and then now they're like, all right, well, how much? I was recruiting this kid who's here local, outstanding, phenomenal kid. But I know, he got like 10 people in his household. Oregon's gonna throw him the duffel bag. Like, all right, I'm out the race. I'm out the race. He's a West Coast kid too, so he ain't trying. He don't mind coming to the East Coast, but he's a West Coast kid. So, that's the hard part about it. And I know that's why a lot of these coaches got out of it. They were like, look, if I'm Saban, I'm thinking like, man, you're coming to Alabama because it's Alabama, but I'm over here. I got to fight you over Toledo. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, let's go.
Let's go Rockets. Come on, let's go.
I do think though, and I don't know if Billy O uses this. I do think like we're Bill. I know I would do it as a head coach. Like,
yeah,
I would call Scotty in and like evaluate this dude so he knows exactly what a GM is looking for. I think Bill brings that knowledge. Like, yeah, not only can I make I can get you to the NFL, I can evaluate you and let you know what grade you're going to get, what round you're going to go. Right. I think some of the NFL guys who come back to college, if they use that factor, I think that'll help kids a little bit more. Like, yeah, we're paying you. But then if Scott McCullough comes in and goes, hey, you a second round grade right now, I think that boost is like, oh man, I can go. And then like having you, Pete, or having Scott saying that second round grade means, $2 million or $3 million or $7 million, $8 million guaranteed, first round grade, right? 15, 20 million, 30 million guaranteed. I think it changed the dynamic. And I think that's what some NFL guys bring to college that other college coaches can't call you, Scott. They can't call you, Pete, for you to come talk to the team because of the relationship builds and et cetera. And I think Bill, when Lombardi and all the things he do, I think he brings that, right? Billy O has an opportunity to do the same thing at Boston College. I think that helps. I'm not saying it's the end-all be-all in recruiting, but that helps in recruiting too. Because a lot of these kids, Will tell you, a lot of these kids just think they're going to go to the NFL because they play in D1. That ain't true.
Well, I'll tell you this, CJ. I've turned down probably 10 to 15 universities the last 3 years that they've reached out for me to do evaluations for them. And it's all portal stuff.
Yeah.
It's all, we got so many players in the MAC that we're looking at. We need you to evaluate this, this, and this. And I won't say any names of coaches or universities, but a couple of them are like, I want you to help us recruit. I want you to make a phone call to them and the parents and talk to them and recruit them for me, to bring them in. And, I mean, it's completely changed back in the day. I've been doing this 30 years now. Back in the day, that never happened. If you did transfer, of course, you had to sit out a year. No one wanted to do that, But nowadays, they can bang, bang, bang. And, I mean, big universities were like, listen, we need your help. We'll send you 10 names. We'll pay you this much. We just need your evaluation, And then I'm like, I did it for one university one time, and I stopped. I'm like, I'm not getting involved in that stuff. I got enough with the NFL. I got enough, with agents and college players coming out. And but yeah, no, it was. I could have made the business huge.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy.
Oh.
So Lombardi looking at it like, dude, all I got to do is sit back and evaluate these cats.
Correct.
Tell them you're good, you're bad, you're good, you're bad.
Yeah. Well, question for you, because you have more of a national view of the Broncos, and I'm a fan, and I live in Denver. What's the outside world say of the Broncos? What's the expectations of the Broncos? How good are we besides going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I would say like more of a dark horse. It's kind of, you got the Broncos in the AFC that are just playing good football. And you look at the NFC, it's very similar. It's like the Bucks. I feel like those two teams are in a similar realm of like, wait, they're actually playing competitive, really good football. Like even this weekend, I got the Bucks, coming to LA and handling business in that regard. So I see just more like that, like respect. Like, okay, Bo Nix is definitely, in running for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. So tons of respect there. And obviously Surtain is, one of one. And especially with the defense doing defensive line, obviously Zach Line, I know him from BC, and I actually live near Garrett Bowles here in Cali. So I know all these guys pretty well. So yeah, just more so along those lines, like definitely respect in the league in terms of what they're doing. And like now, finally, Denver, as of now, they have a quarterback.
We have one. Another question for you off football. I know you've won Super Bowls, but I'm curious about the wine MVP. What is the wine MVP?
So the wine MVP. So here's the thing. When I was playing in Green Bay, Charles Woodson was our veteran, and he actually had his own wine called Charles Woodson Wines. And every road trip, he would take the DBs out to dinner, like to whatever 5-star steakhouse it was, and he would take care of us and treat us. And we always had these wine, events and wine dinners. So I just got curious, man. I started learning and eventually started going to school for it, got a bunch of certifications. And then, towards the end of my career, I decided I wanted to get into the business. So I created my own wine concierge company. Basically, we do anything to elevate your wine experience. Like we just had Devontae Adams, Bakhtiari, and Randall Cobb. They went to Napa. We did their whole trip for them. So we do more stuff like that, like events, private dinners. We can go to any wine region in the world. We can set that up. And then now I go to Napa in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna start blending, start making my own wine. So
Oliver, if someone want to get connected with your team at the Wine MVP, how would they do that?
Hit me up.
Good thing on social media, baby. We all got access.
Hit me up. One of one.
You're not hard to find, as we've heard to say.
I am not at all. Not at all.
Excellent. So going back to college football, I know you just have a few more minutes left, Will. How long till college football becomes much more like minor league baseball, where are guys going to be able to be drafted one day and then go, hey, we're going to send you to Bill Belichick at North Carolina for a year before you play with us? Is that ever going to?
No, I don't think it'll be like that, because now you're putting miles on the body. I don't think that would ever happen. I can see situations where there'll be contracts that are involved where, because it's crazy. You got a kid here, making X, and he's like, I'm just going to leave and go make more somewhere else. Like literally the next year, but actually within months. We just had a kid leave, like within months to do that. So I can see something more controlled on that regard, but no, minor league, no. If anything, that would be like the UFL, more along the lines for that, but not college. Hell no.
So here's something for you then, Will. You just mentioned the word contracts, right? So I've been thinking about this. So if all these players,
have.
Yes, you know it. So if all these players now are signing these contracts with with a collective or with a school, et cetera, can they trade them?
Right. That was my next thing, is a trade situation. But I mean, trading is now you're dealing with the university. I think that's where it comes weird, in terms of the academics and the institution. Like that's different versus it actually being its own entity. Now, or
I got three quarterbacks. Will, I got three quarterbacks. You got three corners. I'll trade you my second quarterback for your second corner. Let's go. Or like with you guys,
this PE credit won't transfer though.
Well, like you guys, when you sat your one quarterback, he's like, oh, I want to get out. Before he hits the portal, you trade him, let him go somewhere else.
Yeah, but again, what's his eligibility? There's so much stuff that's involved, man. That's like, does your quarterback got 2 years left? And does my guy got 2 years left? Like, what's going on here?
Right. The academic piece is huge, though. Like Fernando Mendoza, quarterback at Cal, like he gets his degree at the end. So now that he's even though he has 2 years, he's considered a graduate transfer. That Cal degree works for him. The Cal network works for him big time. He understands that, right? So he takes that, and then now he's in the portal, and now Georgia and some of the SEC schools want to come after him now. But he made sure that he got his degree first. So I think, like Will said, academically, it depends where you're at too. You know, if you're at Washington State, like I know the running back at Washington State, he hit the portal. He got Stanford, UCLA, Indiana. You got some people that's owning Utah, right? But obviously, who cares about a Washington State degree? But like if you're going to like Duke or Purdue, or you're going to a degree where it holds weight, where if the NFL doesn't work out, but you still got this network and you got your degree from a certain academic school institution, I think that helps too. So it's all over the place. But some of these kids are signing contracts. Like Georgia do 2-year deals. Auburn does 2-year deals. I know that for a fact. I got contracts in my phone, right? Like kids does 2-year deals, and after 2 years, if you ain't looking good, they'll tell you, hey, I think you should get in the portal. You didn't make it happen in these 2 years that we paid you X amount of dollars. So it'll be interesting to see how it turned out, but it's starting to get that way for sure.
Hey,
Will,
I noticed
because now I believe institutions can now get involved. Like you can now be an employee.
Once the settlement, I think some settlement is happening. Once the settlement happened, the institutions are now it's not a collective. Now the school is actually involved.
Yeah, you're employed by the school.
In a year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know you got to go.
Wait, hold up before you go.
Oh, yeah.
Before
You hold up, Peter. Stop being a ball.
Bro, you got to bounce. Man, you out here strangling.
I just want to say something.
You got one question.
No, it's not a question. It's a statement. I noticed when CJ was mentioning all these great academic schools, Duke, he didn't say Boston College.
Okay.
I don't know if Boston College is a great academic school. Sorry. I don't know. It could be.
I'm just saying.
I told you, man. I never see anything personal. Okay.
He clearly didn't. He clearly didn't say anything about Wichita State, though, Scott.
Yeah, that's all right. That's smart.
Yeah, they got you and Barry Sanders. So you're good.
That's right.
I know basketball and bowling.
It's good at bowling.
You got a lot of great bowlers out of Wichita State.
At one time it was baseball too, but that's changed now. I jumped ship. It was over. No more World Series. It's over.
Will, I know you got to go here. Any parting thoughts? Last word for you.
Never look for easy. You know that, CJ.
That's our guy. That's our guy. Never look for, unless you're Juan Soto, which that'll be
unless you're Juan Soto.
Right. He definitely looked for 760 M's. That was easy.
Baseball's not easy though.
It ain't.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
We played the wrong sport when they're out there giving us 760 M's to hit a ball.
No, it's funny. I got scouted by the White Sox, and I was like, bro, I have no interest at all. They said, we'll teach you how to hit. I'm like, dude, nah, dude. Because at the time, Rocco Baldelli, the manager for the Twins, he was a senior at my high school. Okay. And obviously, he was a stud. He went number 5 out of high school overall. And so I was like, nope. But then again, I should have thought about it.
Should have thought about it.
All right, fellas.
All right, Will. Much appreciate the time.
Will, good seeing you, buddy.
All right, now.
That's
a couple questions.
That's a good dude right there.
Oh, he's awesome, man. We had a lot of battles. I don't know how many times he tackled me. Probably not too many, but he's a good dude.
You know what? He was he's a hell of a college player. He played wide receiver and then of course played some DB. I was with him in Seattle, then I brought him to Washington, and we're very close. He's a really good dude. Great family man. Damn good athlete. It doesn't surprise me he got drafted in baseball. He's a damn good athlete.
Yeah, really smooth athlete.
Yep.
Owen Peters with a question. Do you like the West Virginia hire of Rich Rodriguez?
Going back home, right? Going back
rehire.
There you go.
Yeah, that question's not valid.
I think it's good. He understands the culture. He understands what they're trying to do over there. I think it's a good move for him. Obviously, you learn some things. You go around, go coach at some smaller schools. You get back into where they love you, they care about you. So yeah, I think the hire is solid. He's in the Big 12. I think the hire is solid.
I do too. He's going home. It's interesting. Dan Mullins just got hired by UNLV.
That's terrible, but I hear y'all.
Tell us how you really feel, CJ. Tell us how you really feel.
Hey, I just keep it real when I watch football, but that's just bad. Dan Mullins living off a name, and I'm not gonna say that guy's name. We all know the name in here, but
oh yeah.
Thumbs up to Dan, right? Good job.
But I do think that he's, going to West Virginia, that's a natural and probably took maybe 2 years, but West Virginia has to do something to resurrect that program.
Absolutely. And he's the guy to do it for sure.
Well, and the thing about it, Morgantown, I don't know if you guys ever been there. It's a different environment. It's a different environment.
I've been there one time.
And it's tough to recruit in. You know, you got Pitt so close, you got Penn State close, you know, all that stuff. But with Rich Rod going back there, he knows the high school, he knows the coaches, he knows that stuff. He'll get the guys he needs. And when he was there, he did a good job. And I tell you what, he's a class act too now. He was, to me at least, as being a scout going in there, and he'd come and talk to me, and you know, good dude, good, well-rounded guy, and a good coach.
I'm just glad he's not going back to Michigan. So.
Hey, so does Hunter win the Heisman?
Yes. He just won the DB and receiver.
He just won the best player, best AP player of the year.
Yeah.
I would say it's trending that way.
But they gave
I think it's trending that way. But I mean, I'm a running back guy at heart, bro. Like you're literally like 105 yards from breaking Barry Sanders' record. Like that's crazy. We thought that record.
But the thing is,
be touched.
Yeah, but the thing is, CJ, it's Boise State, you know, and I'm not knocking them. They've had good programs, you know, but you talk about comp level. I mean, it's a little different than when Barry was playing against, you know.
No,
but still, he's had a good year. He's going to get drafted. He's going to be in the league. But I tell you, what Travis Hunter's done.
Oh, it's what Travis
is incredible.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't, but so if we were talking about like someone in SEC and Ashton Jeanty, then I think Ashton Jeanty can do exactly what he just did in the Big 12 that he did in the Mountain West. I think he can do the same thing to those defenses in the Big 12.
I
Big 12 ain't like world beaters in defenses. You disagree?
Well,
I guarantee you won't be a lot of Big 12 defensive guys getting drafted this year. You know that. I know.
There might not be one that played against Jeanty gets drafted. Oregon will have maybe one or two, but that's it. The rest of them, they're college free agents.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I do think he can still go rush. He probably don't rush for 2,400, but he gonna rush for like 17, 18. I mean,
sure.
Cam Skinnable is a good back, and I think he rushed for 1,400. Jeanty can go rush for 15, 1,600 in the Big 12 if Cam did it. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. But you got to figure nowadays, CJ, that's average. You know, it's like
right.
You know, it's like back in the day, you run for 4.5 yards and have 10 touchdowns. Average wise, you're like in college. That's damn good.
Yeah, that's damn good.
Nowadays, you got to go 6.5, 7, 8, just to stay at the pace of everybody else.
You're right.
Yeah, but CJ, you said something that he's 147 yards away or whatever from breaking Barry's record. I want to defend my guy.
Hey,
I stand with Peter. I stand with
mad
Peter.
on paper. That's just on paper.
No,
man.
I'm talking. Let's go paper. Here it is. Number one, he's already played 13 games.
Yes, we know. We know who's better. We ain't saying Barry not better.
Barry played 11 games. All right. Number two, they're giving the Boise State kid the bowl game stats. If you take Barry's bowl game stats, he's at 2,900 yards. For whatever reason, they don't give Barry his bowl game stats.
I know.
So it's not 2,650. It's like 2,900 and something for Barry, but they don't give him his bowl game against Wyoming.
Are you going to be mad if Saquon Barkley breaks Eric Dickerson's record with more games in the NFL than what Eric Dickerson did it? No, you're not. You're going to say Saquon Barkley is the all-time.
But isn't that
put an asterisk by it.
But isn't that why we do averages? Like you have points per game averages because you guys, like guys in the NBA, don't play the same amount of games.
Way tougher conference than the Big 12 and the Mountain West at that time, like Scott is saying. So it's a different ball game what Barry was doing.
But that's why we use averages. Like it's like we don't say how many hits did the player get in baseball. We said what's his average because they play a lot more games today than they used to.
And let's keep in mind that Barry had 1,100 yards in the month of October.
Yeah,
I don't run that far on the treadmill.
I'm not running against you. I'm just telling you what it said. If he goes out in this playoff game and go beat the record, that's a good thing. This record been up for 30-something years. I know that's your guy, but it gotta get broken at some point, right? 30-something years.
We want it to be broken the right way, CJ. The right way in 11 games. In 11 games.
Bro, there's only one Barry Sanders in the world. There's not too many running backs in the world that's gonna rush for 2,900 yards in 11 games. It's just impossible.
When I think of Barry, I think of the game when I saw him play up in the Silverdome against the Bengals and Corey Dillon was playing against him. And you just watch Barry just look, it was shoes of defenders falling off. It was just ridiculous.
All right, so now that we're winding up here, Broncos, Colts.
I got Broncos.
They're by 4 points. Do they cover, CJ? I'm asking for a friend.
They better cover. I'm saying this in all due respect, but AR5 is just not ready yet. So as long as he's on that side of the ball, the way VJ got the defense playing too, I expect this to be a very, I don't say easy because nothing in the NFL is easy, but this is a very winnable game. Like 2 touchdowns by 14 points, 10 points, winnable game. That's all I'm saying.
If the Broncos win it, they got a short week coming up.
We'll be there Thursday, right, Peter?
Yes, we'll definitely be there Thursday. Short week coming up.
And then if they win this today or this week, the playoffs are theirs to lose, isn't it?
Correct.
Absolutely. I mean, they still got to play the Bengals. Going to be a good game now. Don't get it twisted. I mean, that we're looking further ahead, but the Bengals going to be a good game.
Hey, a few quick things to wrap up here. Sorry, CJ, the Avs traded for a new goalie. We vouched for you. We tried to get you in there. Peter shouldn't let me do the negotiations for it. I tried. So Peter will have to handle it more directly next time to get you between the pipes.
I love it.
So Army versus Navy, who you got?
Army.
I got the Cadets too.
That quarterback's a pretty damn good player now.
He can play, man. And he a football player, Scott.
Yeah.
You see him play, yeah. He might not have no NFL talent, but the boy can play football.
But he's a good college player.
I like him a lot too, Scott.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
CU versus BYU on the 28th in the Alamo Bowl. Good matchup.
It's a Big 12 matchup. They didn't play each other this year. BYU's been solid. I mean, it should be a good game if the Colorado boys come to play. Like, you don't want them to be lazy and not take it serious. I don't think Prime is going to have them lazy in that, but it should be a good game.
I watched quite a few bit of BYU tape last week. They've been winning. I'll give them credit, but with their ranking where it was at, I was expecting to see more talent.
Right.
Even especially on their old line, because they always have old linemen usually. And the two guys I watched, they're just guys, and their defense, they have some try-hard pass rushers. But if Shadir's going to play, hopefully he does. And if Travis is going to play, hopefully he does. CU will get after him pretty good, I believe.
Remember, the number one basketball recruit is going to BYU.
Yep.
That's right.
This year is going to BYU. Like that lets you know how the NIL game has changed. I don't know what BYU did, but BYU found a way to get the number one recruit to go to Provo, Utah.
And let's not forget that the BYU quarterback at the Mormon school is Jewish.
I did not know that.
I was going to say
that's a fun fact I wasn't aware of.
And he just got a Manischewitz. We should have Will on. He got a Manischewitz wine deal.
I did not know that. Oh my goodness.
Hey, CJ, you mentioned this earlier. Soto signed for $765 million with the Mets. Peter, how do we get you some more baseball guys to rep?
I don't need a bunch of baseball. I just need one. Just give me Soto. Give me Soto. Yeah, I just need one.
As a Yankee fan, my heart's broken. But as a player, go get paid, man. Go get paid.
I'll tell you what, though, they play 162 games. I played in minor leagues. It's Groundhog Day. You play every single day, and it gets old. And if you got a guy producing all the time, and they're selling seats, selling jerseys, selling hats, they're making so much money. It's not even funny.
Would you know what to do with $765 million at 26 years old, Scott?
Go buy an island.
Remember, he's 26.
CJ, you know what Scott would do if he had $765 million? He'd get a second flannel hoodie. That's what he would do.
I would turn my heater on.
Why you turn the heater on? Right?
Not for the whole day.
No.
Not while he's sleeping. He'd have it off then.
Oh my!
And probably off between noon and 3 too. He doesn't need it on then.
Just keep it at 63. I'm good.
Right?
My dogs get mad at me.
Hey, we got to wrap this up. Scott, final parting words.
Nothing that we talked about. I'm looking forward to Army Navy. I've never been to it live. I was told by my first boss, Ron Wolf, sometime in your life you have to see that thing live. It apparently so impressive with the marches and everything, but it's just our armed services and the respect I have for them, and just knowing those guys. Many of them aren't NFL players, of course, but they're just competitors and they just battle each other, and it's a huge game.
That's awesome. Peter, final parting thoughts.
this is the best time of year if you're a football fan. Let's go. I mean, every game matters. College, pro. It's just fun. Holiday parties, throw them out the window. Let's just watch football.
I'll push that memo to corporate. CJ.
Hey man,
Party.
don't forget to help out the Red Cross. We're gonna be promoting that all month of December. What they're doing, right? Disaster relief and how they're helping the people in need in this time is huge. And then also the college football playoff, man. I mean, we ain't really talked about it, but like Penn State supposedly has the easy road. Oregon supposedly has the hardest road. Like, we didn't really talk about it as much. Hopefully we can get to it because obviously they don't start playing until next week. But, Penn State gets SMU. Like, everybody talk about Jonathan Franklin. He gets SMU, then turn around, gets Boise, and then Oregon has to figure out if they're going to get Tennessee or Ohio State. Like, whoo, that's tough. And then Texas get Clemson and Arizona State. Like, I think the college football players, these kids want to play in the NFL, then why not just do the high seeding, low seeding like the NFL? But
Correct.
I'd be interested to see what the college football playoff looks like.
Hey, CJ, I heard a coach talking about this. I thought it was interesting with the playoffs. Like, if whoever it is, they got to go travel to Indiana or wherever they got to go play. It's more like a regular game. But if they're playing in a bowl like in Orlando, they're going to have like the whole bowl week festivities for the team. So like you may have a top 10 season, but you just added an extra more regular season game style instead of getting the bowl experience. What would you think of that?
I care less. I mean, we had a chance to play for a national championship. Who cares less about the extra iPad? These kids are getting paid. I can go buy an iPad. Yeah, I get a free one back in my day, but I can go buy an iPad. But, it'd be interesting for, like, I think this is cool too, though. You get a team like SMU in Dallas that's going to Pennsylvania and it's going to be cold.
Spot on.
These kids are getting recruited, and there's probably no East Coast kids on SMU, and now SMU is going down, and they all need flannels like Scott because it's going to be cold.
You imagine Scott starting the flannel bowl?
They're going to need more than this, I promise you.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. It could be snow. Some of those kids might play in their first snow game ever out there in Penn State. Like, that's what makes the first round fun when you start mixing those things up like that.
Yeah, the thing is, Rob, I think the way they're going to handle it with the playoff teams, it's like the NFL playoffs. It's a regular week.
Mm-hmm.
You go about business. You're not worried about getting the
Disney
clothes,
World
getting the bag, being there doing, charity events and stuff like that, and going to hospitals or whatever. They're going to do it just like the NFL. You fly in, boom, you play, you fly back out.
Right.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, guys, we got to wrap it up. It's been fun, guys.
Later. Football Friday.
Take care, fellas.
Let's go.
See y'all.
Cotrell, Arizona State running back.
Oh, I'm gonna call you right now.
All right, later.
See you guys.